Many paintings during the Dutch Golden Age featuring astronauts, revealing the interest in the mysteries of the universe and its effects on humans. You notice I said humans, right?
Yeah, you did, Mr. Alien. Yes.
All of this for something that started with a big bang.
In fact, I'm not sure, you might actually be a droid that everyone's looking for, Jacques.
Right.
So the study of the stars was of really vital importance to art, shipping, trade, and was the cornerstone of the Dutch Golden Age economy. It also illustrates the artistic and scientific progress being made during that period of time.
So let's hand it over to Sarah for a look into the Dutch Golden Age with artwork by the legendary Vermeer. Over to you, Sarah.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Star Wars Day. So Johannes Vermeer was a Dutch Baroque painter, period painter, who specialized in domestic interior scenes of middle-class life. He's acknowledged as one of the greatest painters of the Dutch Golden Age. During his lifetime, he was a moderately successful provincial genre painter, recognized in Delft and The Hague. He produced relatively few paintings, primarily earning his living as an art dealer. He was not wealthy at his death, leaving his wife in debt, actually. But Vermeer worked slowly and with great care, and frequently used very expensive pigments. He's particularly renowned for his use of light in his work. At the moment, there's an exhibit of his work at the famous Rijksmuseum, located in downtown Amsterdam. The exhibition lasts from February 10th to June 4th, showcasing 28 out of 37 paintings that still exist today. The exhibition is sold out, but our producer managed to get a ticket and give us an inside look. Vermeer was a master at using light to enhance the mood and character of his images. His paintings are also rich in crackler, meaning a network of fine cracks in the paint or varnish of a painting, most likely to have cracked due to age. Both of Vermeer's works, The Astronomer and The Geographer, are closely related to each other. They both feature the same model in the same outfit, and they're also the only two paintings by Vermeer in which the main subjects are males and both are men of science. Not only does it seem that the same model posed for both images, but even the rooms share more than a passing similarity, indicating that they may be one and the same. The Astronomer features a celestial globe, which shows the apparent positions of the stars in the sky. At this time, Earth and the universe were new subjects of interest and meant that many merchants and scholars had expensive globes and celestial globes at home. Vermeer painted the Astronomer with such accuracy that we can even identify the globe's maker, draftsman and engraver Jodocus Hondius. Globes and celestial globes were always produced in pairs, and the counterpart to the celestial globe can be found in the background of the Geographer. In his early work, Vermeer featured subjects in very undefined space, which added to his unique way of portraying people in their own surroundings. Yellow and blue are dominant colors of this painting, setting Vermeer's work apart from his contemporary, who at the time strayed away from such intense blue palettes. The ultramarine toned paint was very expensive, being made of a powder of crushed lapis lazuli, a rare semi-precious stone, which also gave the painting a unique luminescence. It intensifies the vividness of the blue hues, and such blue paint was able to create a great contrast with the vibrant lead tin yellow and that luminosity. By the 1660s, Vermeer became more aware of the role of natural light for defining a space and enhancing the mood in his paintings. The view of Delft features the artist's hometown, capturing the entrance of the city in shadow while the center is bathed in sunlight. This lighting effect highlights the Tower of Newkirk, or Newchurch, the city's symbolic core. The rows of in Little Street on the right, viewers can get a glimpse at what it was like inside the city. The rows of worn cobblestones create a reasonable sense of depth while breaking the flatness of the main facade. The curious blue tinge of the foliage has been attributed actually to the loss of a transparent yellow glaze, which would have originally given the leaves their proper green coloring. And a fun fact is that he painted a third view of the city, but it has since been lost. I mentioned previously that Vermeer has only 37 surviving pieces, and he likely created about 50 in his lifetime, but He died at the young age of 43, so his career was cut shorter than most. In the 17th century, the Dutch were dominating world trade, and the glass of wine features some fun insights into that period. There's a family coat of arms displayed on the stained glass window, signaling that this was probably the home of a middle class or wealthy family. The table in the middle of the painting showcases a Turkish carpet, which wouldn't have been lying on the floor since they were so expensive at the time. These carpets are heavily featured in Vermeer's paintings. The virginal, a keyboard instrument of the harpsichord family, was greatly admired by the Dutch upper class during the mid-17th century. In A Lady Standing at a Virginal, the silken material of the girl's sleeve is evoked through a brilliant chiaroscuro effect using strategically placed dots of lighter toned paint. The details on the girl's dress in A Lady Seated at a Virginal also highlights the use of this lead white paint. And during Vermeer's time, the Dutch were the leading producers of this type of lead paint. As seen in The Lace Maker, the girl is intricately weaving bobbin lace, where fiber threads such as cotton, silk, and even hair are plaited, twisted, and interwoven. This style of lace was much more popular than its counterpart, needle lace, where the threads get embroidered, as it was lighter in texture and worked well with the style of the times. Also in this piece, Vermeer consciously chose to leave the thread in the foreground, out of focus, using dots, lines, and thin translucent layers of paint, using this difference in focus from the rest of the details like the fine threads in her hands to kind of give a sense of depth. The girl reading a letter at an open window features actually a painting within a painting, as you can see, which was hidden for years under layers of paint. The process actually took 4 painstaking years to restore this piece. And it's also worth noting that Vermeer was known to rework his compositions. But for this particular piece, X-rays and paint samples revealed dirt in between the layers of paint, signaling that someone had actually painted over this work. So these 2 paintings feature a couple of Vermeer's tronies, which are paintings that usually feature an exaggerated facial expression or a subject in some sort of costume or different type of clothing. In both The Girl with a Red Hat and Girl with a Flute, eccentric hats featured have no similarity to the Dutch fashion or paintings at the time. Women were actually largely discouraged from wearing broad felt hats that men wore in public up until the mid-1600s, which means these women were likely in costumes that were used more as an exercise for Vermeer painting rather than an actual straight portrait. The Girl with a Pearl Earring is arguably Vermeer's most well-known painting. It's certainly the one I'm most familiar with. But what I didn't realize is that this is another example of one of his tronies, a blend of fantasy and reality, most likely a creation of Vermeer's imagination. This young girl's idealized image conveys a sense of timeless beauty. The painting shows Vermeer's enhanced sense of realism through his expressive painting techniques. Dark backgrounds were widely used in portraiture to enhance the 3-dimensional effect of the figure. And the girl appears to be wearing a Turkish head covering, mostly worn by men in the Turkish Empire, and not a common accessory for a Dutch girl. Getting a closer look, we're able to see a drop pearl earring, which were quite the fashion statement during that era. And it's likely that a pearl of such size and form probably did not exist. Vermeer must have used his creative license to represent an artificial pearl or deliberately exaggerating its dimensions. Here is a girl with a pearl earring compared to other noted Dutch Golden Age pieces. There's an overall dark tone to them, with the one on the left using light similar to Vermeer to highlight certain aspects of the piece. And the portrait on the right has that distinctive dark background. And finally, here's a side-by-side of 2 very famous female portraits in art. The girl with a pearl earring is sometimes referred to as the Dutch Mona Lisa, but they're actually quite different in style and form. But that is to say that they're the most praised and some of the most famous portraits throughout history. Originally, Vermeer's works were largely overlooked actually by art historians for 2 centuries after his death. But with time and upon the rediscovery of his work, Several prominent Dutch artists modeled their style after his work. So he's had a lasting legacy as one of the best Dutch painters and continues to draw crowds to view his work. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. That exhibition looks like a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I actually think I know somebody who might have gone.
Indeed, it really is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I wish I could fly to Amsterdam to see it. Now, I actually didn't realize he was considered a crackler.
Yeah.
You think that's where the term "release the Kraken" came from?
Maybe.